Ah, Vesteria, the game that we all love, and we all love to hate. But anyways, there is nothing better than a successful update to Vesteria, right? Okay, but seriously, Vesteria hasn't had too many updates recently, for reasons that we don't know of, but what if this smartass got appointed as the creative director of Vesteria? Now, what I will be doing in this video is planning a whole year of updates for Vesteria, but how I would do it. But before we do it, I'll have to make it somewhat realistic and nothing like, oh, let's chuck 3 updates into 1 month. No. You see, we also have to consider the fact that if we are being realistic, we have to go off the pace of the developers, which are the non-existent polymorphic, meminator unimagination burst, pay to win, overpriced as Rocky, I'm here every once in a while David-y, and well, Skeleton. I didn't know what catchphrase he would have as he's a perfect human being. Okay, perfect human being Skeleton. Okay, anyway, so let's kick right off into the next month, which will be March. So in the month of March, I think it's safe to say that we can finally release the Tribute Wars. The endgame is lacking a lot at the moment, and we all know that the Tribute Wars is well into development now, and it wouldn't take much just to polish it off and release it. We really need it, so just release it, devs. There will be a little bit of free time, so another thing that could happen is fix much requested bugs like the screen glitch and the Mokotoa. By the way, I won't be using bug fixes as an update for any other months after this one, but some bugs just need to be fixed. Lastly, in the later half of March, on one random day, there will be a class specific item releasing for 1 day only. Now, this item won't be overly hard to get like possum drops, but won't be piss easy to get either. It'll be the middle ground of them both. The class that will get an item in March will be Berserkers. Now, one way you could obtain this item is by having a mob like a baby shroom on steroids or something like that. That is super hard to kill, and you need to work with other players to kill it. But it only drops 1 item to 1 player when you kill it. But it spawns instantly after it dies, so you aren't having to wait a century for it to spawn back. Spoiler alert, by the way, these limited edition items will be a recurring theme for every month. Anyways, on to April. It's now April, specifically April the 1st, and I think we all know what is coming. The Jester event. Yes, this is finally the year that the Jester event releases. If you don't know anything about it, watch my video on the event that I made about 2 years ago to fill in the gaps. Midway through April, I think it's about time that there was a good trading / PvP city area for high levels, specifically level 45 plus. And this would be located off the side of the Lost Corridor, and it would be a sky themed city. This would be great as I think since free release update has come out, higher level players have barely been able to PvP like we used to due to the fact that there are lots of people in Nilgarth that are low levels. As well, it would be great as high level players could sell their more expensive items to a group of people who can actually buy it, instead of trying to sell a 50 gold item to a bunch of level 20s in Nilgarth. The exclusive item for this month will be for Assassins. Now I know it would have been cool to get Trickster themed items around the Jester event time, but it would be too similar as we would get Jester items anyway, so we will have to release those later in the year. Anyways, April is done, now to May. For the month of May, I haven't got anything major planned as the months following it will have huge updates and you need time to develop it, but a couple of things will be released. One is the limited edition cleric item that will of course come at one random day in the month of May, and plain black and white dyes that will be sold over a 3-day period on May the 4th, 5th and 6th. Those will cost 100 ether each. Now let's swiftly move on to June. Now it's June, a lot of America and the UK and other countries will be going into a long holiday period, and what better time than to release the much anticipated Badlands. So the Badlands will be a brutal open PvP high level grinding place where basically you can get good loot, but you can also get killed and lose loot by other players. It will be a brutal but rewarding place to grind at. The limited edition item for this month will be a night item. July will start off with an absolute banger of an update that I have wanted for so long, and it is finally getting added into Vesteria, the Talray's dungeon / raid. Now we all know where the Talray's dungeon entrance would be, which is in this lonely location in the Whispering Dunes. The raid will consist of many stages. You will need to have a squad of about 15 players or more to compete in this raid. It will have bosses like Orc Tufidi, Azariah and Scarab mobs. Levels in between each boss, mini-boss should I say, would contain bandit camps and stingtail holes that are mobbed with their respective enemies. The raid will end in a fight with Talray himself. A huge brute who is the ruler of the Whispering Dunes, and has vicious attacks like making the sun red hot that will slowly kill you, running around with a massive club that spits out fire, launching fire arrows and many more attacks. This raid would be intended to last an intense 30 minutes and would be a grueling battle. Rewards for this could be things like a special red glowing eye cosmetic item, a royal crown, level 50 weapons and more. This update will also raise the level cap to level 50. The limited edition item for this month would be a ranger's item. Now on to August. August would be a bit of a downer and quiet month for the game, as there has been 2 months in a row of huge updates, and obviously if the devs were to push updates at this rate they would need to slow down and take a break. They will still add a limited edition item this month, and that would be a warlock item. Now on to September. For September, the big news this month would be that the Masterclass update would finally come into the game, extending the level cap as well to level 60. Basically, Masterclasses would be an extension from all subclasses, and each player who reaches level 50 can choose one of the 3 Masterclasses from each subclass. Now, I couldn't think of what masterclasses there would be as I haven't played every class, so I don't know what their specialties are. The limited edition item for this month would be 4 paladins. Now into October, let's go. October won't have a big update of sorts, but it will have a Halloween event on the 30th and the 31st of October. The event will consist of a big witch that spawns in a new area of the enchanted forest called the Witch's Hollow. The witch will have the same attack and moving properties as a scarecrow, but it will be 3 times bigger than the average Vesterian. Things that will drop are witches' hats for mages, a ghost dagger for hunters, and a pumpkin sword for warriors. The limited edition mob will have a lot of health and will spawn every 5 minutes after its death. The drop rates for each item will be 15%, so it's not incredibly hard to get. The limited edition item for this month will be for tricksters, and it will come at around Halloween time as well. Now on to November. November will have quite a cool update. It will have the Attack of the Moglos minigame. It will basically be a wave of Moglos that come out, and there will be 5 ways before you have to verse the King Moglo. The drops you can get from it are the weapons that you get from Mokotoa, plus a Moglo's King's Crown, which theoretically means yes, the Spider Queen and the Moglo King are married. You will start the minigame at this place. I am not going to try and pronounce that name, and it'll be intended to get lots of XP and good weapons from the Moglo King. The last limited edition item will be for warlocks, as now all the subclasses are done. Now December will have the infamous Void Dungeon. I know this was a troll, but I'll actually be going through with it and making it into a dungeon. The dungeon will be located just off Warrior Stronghold and will be a beautiful looking icy mountain dungeon with ice zombies and ice bears that you'll have to fight through to get to the boss. At the end of the main part of the dungeon, you'll drop into the ground where you'll face the final boss. Remember this thing? The dragon that has been used yet. Yeah, that will be the final boss. The dungeon will be similar to the Spider Queen dungeon, but it'll last around 20 to 25 minutes, but it'll be a lot more intense than the Tower Rage dungeon. As well in December, of course. On Christmas Day, these themed items will come out at the Ether shop and will be 50 Ether, but you're only limited to buying 1 per item. They are also tradable. Now, on to a new year we go. Hey, look, it's 2022. Hopefully no more coronavirus, and everyone will be vaccinated and will be able to go back to normal life. But Vesteria must continue updates for 2 more months under my watch to finish the calendar year since I started. And what better way to kick off 2022 than increasing the level cap to level 75, and yes, this will be the final level cap raise ever. Now, onto a more ridiculous idea of mine, which will be a new minigame located in the high level city that I talked about earlier on called Pet Racing. Yes, you heard that right, Pet Racing. You will literally be able to control your pets in a few different minigames that will revolve around going through a small obby dungeon crawler and stuff like that. No pet has an advantage to another one, and the first 3 to the end basically get a prize of the minigame's currency, which is called pet coins. You'll be able to buy level 45, 55 and 65 items with these coins. Now, On to the final month of my run as creative director at Vesteria, February. Now, for the last update that I will release while running Vesteria will be the Badlands dungeon raid. Now, I truly believe once this is released, there is enough content to last forever in Vesteria, and no more further big content updates would be needed. Annual events such as the Halloween one or maybe even masterclass items could be done, but no more content updates from this point on, as the game can carry its own weight now. But anyways, the Badlands dungeon will be a level 75 dungeon that has some of the mobs in the Badlands that we don't know of at this point, and will be another long raid like the Telray's dungeon raid. And that, my friends, ends the greatest year in Vesteria that will never fucking happen. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed my ideas that I had for Vesteria and devs. If any of these ideas sound appealing, you're free to use them without crediting me. Anyways, I'll see you all in the next video. Laters.